Welcome back to the classroom. Come on in, no late pass required. So today we're going to be looking at the legend of the music of the Legend of Vox Machina. And this one I've been particularly looking forward to making, as the music in this show was just beyond phenomenal. And I love looking at some of the behind the scenes stuff when it comes to the music for really any movie, show, video game, etc. Like, some of my favorite things to listen to are soundtracks, believe it or not. I use them a lot for when I am doing work, when I used to like study for when I was still in school, and I use them a lot for like the backgrounds of D&D sessions when I'm DMing. And so like all of them kind of have like, music definitely has a special place in my heart with a lot of the background that I had growing up. You know, I was very much involved in a lot of musical productions. I did a lot of singing growing up. I did a lot of instrument playing, and yes, voice is an instrument. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And so I'm really curious to see the inspiration for how they came up with the music, what went into it, who kind of worked on it, because I do have the actual Legend of Vox Machina album on my Apple Music. And so it is very fun to listen to, especially with Sam Riegel just tearing up the scenery as Scanlan with all of the songs that he obviously does. And it, you know, they still sound like they are being improvised while still being so carefully mapped out, because that's exactly what Sam would do. He would have these improvised moments and he would sing every time he was giving bardic inspiration or casting spells. And so like that was something that I just thought was such a nice touch for the actual show. And so really excited to kind of see where they go with this particular one. But if you're enjoying this, make sure to leave a like, comment down below on anything that might not have been in the video or I might have missed. Make sure to subscribe, as it really does help out a lot. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, Legend of the music of the Legend of Vox Machina. What do we got?
If you have a good sound system, get it ready. Get on the TV, crank the volume.
I mean, not wrong.
The music kicks in, it's epic.
It's the final cherry on top.
I think everyone's gonna love the ride that the show takes you on.
I mean, they're not wrong in that regard. Definitely not wrong in that regard.
Just like seeing a lot of the art come out of the design teams and the background artists and the animators, hearing character themes, hearing the intense moments of our story, and giving its original score. I feel
like that would be like the coolest thing to have.
It gives goosebumps instantaneously.
As a player or a DM, is having like theme songs for your characters.
Neil Acri's music before he signed on to the project, but it turns out I really was. You've heard Neil's music if you've ever played any of the games that he is so well known for.
I worked for many years on the Stargate franchise, and then at some point got an opportunity to write music for video games, and
Neil
that meant
Acri.
World of Warcraft, and that led to StarCraft 2 and Diablo 3 and Overwatch eventually.
So a lot of games that I haven't played.
Jobs, of course, but it's even more spectacular when you can work with someone whose enthusiasm for your project makes it not your project anymore, it's our project. And he's
man, him and Matt Mercer look very similar.
When I first heard about the Kickstarter, I knew right away I had to be involved in some way. It's the kind of project my entire career has been preparing me for. At that moment, I realized I can talk all I want about this, but the only way to really convey my enthusiasm is to do it through music.
I love that. Ooh.
Unbeknownst to us,
Oh,
Neil
I
on his
love
own
it.
scored a variation of what he called sort of the Critical Role theme, bringing in elements from previous versions, but also just building the size of the sound to show what could be possible.
I went all in, hired an orchestra,
I love that.
Sent it to Sam and said, "This is just my way of saying thank you for considering me."
just whipped it together just to say, like, thanks for considering me for this.
It hit our inbox, and I think I stood in the kitchen with a glass of water and listened to it about 37 times. It was one of the first moments where we really
I would have
realized
too.
what could be possible with how we deliver this show. Neil knows our show. He knew the characters. He knew what the world was like. He knew what the different areas of Exandria were, and he was already talking about different themes for different locations.
Neil has such
I
an
love this.
epic grasp of fantasy, but it's also grounded and modern, which is exactly what we need, because Legend of Vox Machina is not a period piece. It is not historical.
Absolutely not. It is a pure fantasy world with technical aspects. I mean, Percy
The world that
having a
was
gun.
around him is so sweeping and gorgeous, and Neil's music meets that.
He's made music for
Oh my
in all kinds of
goodness.
different genres, electronic music and classical music.
He creates these really unique sounds. We're really lucky to have him on this team.
It's just still so cool.
Instead of adapting the RPG, I'm adapting the cinematic influences that they had when they created these moments. I get in front of a keyboard and I start playing along, and it's kind of become this intuitive thing where it's kind of a puzzle. The acting and the pacing of the scene are clues that'll help get you halfway there, but then finding these threads that will tie the entire season together. I write all my music on keyboard, and that means
That's
using
cool.
computers
And
to
using a
trigger
stream deck.
sounds.
That's
So if
awesome.
I play a note on the keyboard, I'll
I
hear
love
a
seeing
violin
when
sound or a
people
French horn
use
sound or a
stream
drum
decks and
sound,
things other
and that allows
than
me to create
streaming.
a mock-up of the music as it's going to be recorded by the orchestra before we even get musicians to record it.
That's cool.
I had the chance to bring in some longtime collaborators like Tina
Yo, I had no
Paul Cartwright
idea.
playing fiddle.
Yo, I
Kristen
freaking
Igus
love
playing
her.
woodwinds. The orchestra we're working with is the Budapest Scoring Orchestra. In Budapest,
Oh, this was
Hungary.
one of my favorite renditions
And
with like
for
the
main
electric
title,
guitar.
I brought in bagpipe player Eric Rigler. He played on Titanic and Braveheart.
That's cool.
The one thing I knew starting out is that Your Turn to Roll theme had to be a presence in the score.
The adventure begins.
I love it. Laura Bailey.
Both as a fan of it myself, and I knew it's something that the fans would want to hear.
Your Turn to Roll is really the song that we have built most of the second campaign around. But there are elements of
I
it
can't
now
wait
that are
until
just
I get to that
associated with
point.
Critical Role as a brand. So we wanted to implement that, if we could, in a smart way that would make fans of the show smile.
He's taken some elements of the Critical Role theme song and shifted and adapted and rearranged it so that it fits into the world
I mean,
of the
that's
Legend of Vox
that was what I kind of
Moments
loved
of
about
action,
the show.
humor, sadness. Neil will brilliantly weave these notes from that song in.
If you are a music nerd, you're going to catch a lot of wonderful little nods.
It's there as much as I can get it in. I've tried to do my best to build upon that and take it into new adventures.
Oh,
This isn't
that's
just
awesome.
your mom and dad's fantasy series. It's not all one musical genre.
No.
We're bringing in
Yes.
a much wider breadth of musical influences that makes it way more interesting in my mind than just sticking to one genre.
The characters of Vox Machina have such clearly defined personalities,
Oh,
and I've tried to
you're-
find ways
you're
to
not
connect
wrong on that one.
easily with those. To me, Grog is heavy metal.
Yeah.
Pike and Keyleth, I've approached both with a similar kind of flute and choir. Percy, a little bit of
Yes.
a classical operatic approach. Vax and Vex have this gracefulness to them. So I've been handling that with strings playing this kind of classical waltz.
That's
I remember when I
cool.
first started working on the show, I was trying to find the voice and kind of
I will
define
say,
some parameters.
Keyleth had
And
probably
at
the
one
best
point,
musical
Sam asked me
moment
to
of
write
the
a
bunch.
heavy metal piece where Scanlan's playing the lute and it turns into a heavy metal
Yes.
guitar. And I'm like, all the rules are out the window. Scanlan really opened up the musical Pandora's box.
Yeah, I was about to
with
say,
the
he does
songs that
frickin'
Sam
everything.
and Peter wrote.
Scanlan's music serves all kinds of different purposes. In a practical sense, his singing and music activates his magical powers. But
Yep.
the main point of the Scanlan songs, for me anyway, is just to make people laugh.
It was very important to us in the beginning that the Legend of Vox Machina have the balance between emotional moments and comedic moments.
If it was just sweeping music and beautiful vistas,
absolutely,
it would be us. We're a bunch of dumb fucks. So Sam grounds us in reality. Boy, Sam in reality. That's a comparison I've never made before.
In the campaign, I used to spoof 40 hits from the radio, but for the series, we decided to make Scanlan's music completely original. And so me, along with my brother-in-law, Peter Habib, have composed a brand new set of Scanlan originals.
There's a lot of personality with this character. He's got his own voice, so we've got to use that voice to further along the plot and to entertain.
I love it. It's one of those like old echoey ones.
Amazing, and the result has
Bard,
been short
just Bard.
They're short little songs that are just really well written and are funny.
We keep laughing because not only is it hilarious, but it makes sense and it fits and it elevates the narrative.
Yep.
While most of them will make you laugh, they're also a jam.
Oh, yep.
To be so
well,
good.
this one in particular does.
Because of Scanlan, but they're so catchy.
Every time a new one gets shared, my heart, like the Grinch, grows 2 or 3 cents.
It's been liberating to be able to work on a show where it exists in this fantasy world. It leads you down a lot of paths that you might not have ordinarily taken.
The songs of Scanlan Shorthalt definitely bring to life facets of that odd combination of classic fantasy and modern slapdickery. I've no other way to really explain it.
Slapdickery, that is a great way of saying it.
I've gotten a lot of insight into what a dirty birdie he is.
I'm always going in and out. Gonna make you twist and shout.
I knew they were going to be extra, but they've gone super, super extra.
Of course they have, because it's Sam.
This is going to be a very adult cartoon.
We touched on a lot of different musical styles and genres. Everything from a little bit of a hip-hop edge to a funk and a soul edge to a country kind of style.
There are absurd songs and there are heartfelt songs.
Oh, yeah.
The creative outlets are flooded completely open.
I love Sam Riegel.
In my career, I've had the chance to work on a lot of very beloved franchises, so I understand what it means to take the story and to try to deliver the best I
Translate
can
it to music.
bring it to the fans, to bring it to a new audience.
Music is like half the battle with these things.
The best it can be.
Folks, we've given a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the last couple years of music that we've generated for this show. My hope is that it brings the world that you guys know so well to another level.
It did that and then some.
To this, to be a part of this story is a huge honor, and I hope that everyone enjoys the show as much as we've all enjoyed.
That's so cool that they got her on it as well. Oh my goodness. Freaking. Ooh, okay. That Dina being here. I love it so much. So we just finished watching The Legend of the Music of The Legend of Vox Machina, and as I mentioned, so happy with it all around. So Neela Cree being really the biggest focal point here. Once again, Matt Mercer and Neela Cree, are you secretly related? Especially with that picture, you guys were like standing next to each other, and it was just like, you guys were just like different heights. Like that little weird there. Like, but then again, if you know, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's ever happened with the creation of this show. Like, let's be real, we just watched Sam Riegel singing all sorts of random ass shit, and it just got more ridiculous as it went, and I for one am happy that we got to that point. And so Neela Cree just like really did a fantastic job with like adapting all of the music that we saw in the show, especially since there was some pre-existing songs that were a part of the original live streams. And obviously, like, right now I'm part of the way through my viewing of campaign 1. Specifically, I'm currently on episode 31 of the first campaign. And so for those of you who don't know episode numbers, which I don't know why I say that, especially with many of the people watching this being diehard critters, that happens to be the Gunpowder Plot Part 1. And so really good so far. Like things really started to pick up shortly, like I would say a couple episodes ago, just before they got to Whitestone was when things really started to pick up like really nicely, and everybody has just opened up so well. And I'm hoping that we get a return of Ashley Johnson soon, because she was personally like in the duration of the live stream so far, like especially when I started the live streams before the actual show came out, the characters that I enjoyed the most included Grog and Scanlan, which I feel like that's just your starters, your starter guide to Critical Role is to start off with them being your favorites. But then when I watched the show, I started to kind of have a shift. I remember Taliesin Jaffe not making much of an impact on me when I started listening to the episodes, and obviously since then I've started to watch them a little bit more because their reactions are quite hilarious. And I love that Sam Riegel is actually just a bard in real life because he never stops smiling. But as the show progressed, my liking for characters kind of shifted. And while yes, I still love Grog and Scanlan, like they're staples of the group, I started to have a lot more of an affinity for Pike, Keyleth, and Percy, which was kind of cool to get a little bit of that kind of switch around of all of these things. And so like I'm hoping to see Ashley Johnson again. And especially because, like, to bring it full circle, some of the best musical themes that I saw in the actual show itself were, I would say, Keyleth probably had the best overall, like, theme song out of each of the characters, with, I would say, Pike coming in at a pretty close second. I can't even say, like, Scanlan had a theme song, because there was no theme song. It was just whatever he decided he wanted to play, which that's the only reason why, like, you know, he's not at the top. It's more of just like a you can't rank different types of apples and then throw in, like, oh, let's throw a banana onto that list. Like, maybe I shouldn't have gone with banana. You know what? No, that's what Scanlan would have wanted. He would have been wanted to. He would have wanted to be compared to a banana. This took a turn. So, but yes, I loved, like, especially in the moment where Keyleth uses the sunbeam to absolutely eviscerate Lord Briarwood. Like, that musical theme right there, like, that was probably the moment that gave me the most amount of chills, I would say, out of all the moments. With some of the stuff that we saw with Pike going on her kind of spiritual journey, coming in like a close second. It just had such a refreshing take, like, with all the music, and like Neil Acree did such a phenomenal job. And it's so cool to see, like, some faces and names that I've seen before, like Tina Go. I'm making sure I haven't actually said her name out loud before, but I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. She is somebody who, like, I explored in some of my, like, earlier days of being, like, really active on YouTube. So think like circa like 2011, 2012. I was nearing the end of high school, and you know, Lindsay Sterling was becoming a really big thing. And so Tina comes onto the scene as well. She was on a lot of the suggested things, and like she's just another just legendary instrumentalist. And like I had so many songs growing up where like she was like part of the song or was the main artist on said song, and I had no idea that she was a part of this, which just makes it even freaking cooler that she is a part of this. Like, just kind of like all of these different areas of my life were seemingly involved in this one show without me realizing it, which it's so cool. And like the impact that the show has had cannot be understated, because it really has made a lasting impact, and I just want more. Like, there's like, when you get a show that's this special, you just want more. You want to see, hear, or maybe in Sam Riegel, you know, Scanlan's case, taste. Like, we just want more. And so like watching these just makes you appreciate how much work, effort, love went into this. And I, for one, I'm just so happy that all of this exists, and I'm so happy getting to kind of dive into this behind the scenes stuff, because it's so freaking cool. But with all that in mind, that's really the last part that I have to say about all of it. We've only got one more behind the scenes video for this, and then I don't know what else I'm gonna watch for my sort of Vox Machina fix. Like I said, I am going through the episodes of Critical Role, and I do have a sort of like analysis and an in-depth analysis of that planned at some point when I do finish it. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I've been blowing through these episodes pretty quickly. Like the past 2 days, I've gotten through like 2 or 3 episodes, which most people think, oh, 2 to 3 episodes, that's like nothing. Like, there's like 4 hours long each, and like I saw this one, the episode I'm currently on is only like 2.5 hours long, and I'm like, huh, look at that, a short episode. But like, it's insane that I managed to get through all of that and still actually like function as a human being in other places. And so like, I will definitely keep that on the docket, so don't you worry, that will be coming out in the future. But with all of that in mind, if I missed anything, please make sure to comment down below. I love reading through your comments and hearing what you have to say about all of this. Like if you enjoy this, subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I love each and one of your faces, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out, everybody.